So a while back I already talked about a game called Wardogs, a new all-out warfare shooter with large-scale maps and game modes, but a little bit different approach compared to Battlefield, for example. And a few days ago, Lossi, the former Battlefield content creator and now community manager at Bulkhead, the studio behind the title, sent me some actual first gameplay of Wardogs that I'm allowed to share with you and talk about it. It's not too much, only 90 seconds of clips showing different gameplay aspects and mechanics, but it already gives a really good impression of the game and does look quite promising. But first of all, for the ones of you that have never heard of Wardogs or who have not seen any of my former videos about it, Wardogs is a large-scale tactical multiplayer game with combined arms combat that blends traditional FPS gunplay with vehicles, destruction, and the option to build or rebuild structures. So it's a big sandbox battlefield where strategic decisions matter, but it leans a little bit more towards the hardcore shooter side, so probably somewhere between Battlefield and a modern Hell Let Loose. A little difference here though is that the game puts 3 teams against each other instead of the traditional 2, and it supports up to 100 players on a server, and matches will be about an hour long. On the website, the devs also talk about land, air and sea combat, so we might see naval warfare in this one as well, but there will definitely be ground and air vehicles like tanks and helicopters. The game is still in development, but it's planned to launch into early access later this year, so we might not have to wait for too long to get our hands on it. But I think that should do for the basic details about the game so far. If you want to know more about it and also about the studio behind it and how the game has evolved over the past, let's say, 2 years, be sure to check out the linked playlist in the info box, because here you can find the previous videos I've already done about the game. But now let's have a look at the new gameplay that Lossi has sent me, because except for a few screenshots and some very short clips, we have not seen any real gameplay of the title before. So first we have this sneak peek at one of the maps here with a helicopter coming in, and even though we don't know yet where this is set exactly, from former screenshots we know that all of the maps will be inspired by real world locations and will have this realistic and gritty tone. The developers also seem to travel a lot to Eastern European countries for references, like Georgia for example, so my guess is that most of the maps, or maybe the whole game, will be set in this region. Then we can see a little bit of gunplay in an old industrial complex, and here you can see that the game has quite a lot of visual recall. I'm not sure I'm too happy about this or if this will change over time because it's still in development, so let's leave it like this. But what I thought was also interesting is that when you listen to this clip, there is a jet flying by as well, so we will not only have helicopters but also jets. Next up, we can see how building structures seems to work. So you have this large hammer here, and I'm not sure if everyone has this, or maybe you have to have a specific class or a specific loadout to have it equipped. And it also seems like you have to hit the right spot in order to build these structures. Or maybe you will simply build faster when you hit these yellow crosses, and when you don't hit them, you will build significantly slower. Then there's another gunfight with 2 players against one other, and here you can get a little bit of an impression of what the soldiers will look like, because you can see that one soldier in third person here. So it looks pretty realistic, but then also more like mercenaries and not really like an army. But then again, this also makes sense for the whole setting. And what you can hear as well is, I guess, the in-game voice chat. So I'm thinking that this game will right from the start have in-game voice chat, and that similar to Hell Let Loose, it will be important to use this to communicate with your team.
Around the outside the wall, like train track side. He looked like he was by himself.
Then we get another sneak peek at the map, which looks like there will be a lot of verticality in the game as well, at least if you will be able to access all of this stuff like the ladders on the side of the building, or the cranes, or maybe even the containers that are hanging on the cranes. But not sure if this will be the case, or maybe there's even less verticality than what I'm thinking right now, though that's just a guess. And then we can finally see some of the destruction. And I mean, it doesn't look as impressive as the finals or Battlefield 6, but it seems functional and it doesn't look bad either. So it's a bit of a toned down version, maybe more like, it reminds me on Bad Company 2 actually, from how much destruction you have and how it is, well, it looks predefined actually. So it also seems like you can only destroy some parts of the building and not level complete buildings. But this also means that you will still keep enough cover at the end and that you always know what kind of structure and what parts of a building can be destroyed and where you are safe. It also doesn't produce as much clutter or as many particle effects on your screen like Battlefield 6 does, for example, which I think is pretty important in a hardcore shooter to keep a good visibility. The interior also looks pretty good as well and makes the inside of buildings look like there was actually someone living here, so this definitely adds to the immersion. And in the next clip we can get a first look at a tank in third and in first person view, and again some more destruction. Then we have a helicopter from the inside, so in first person view from the pilot, and this one is firing rockets at the ground. And here I also like how detailed and, at least for me, realistic the interior looks like. But I'm not much of a pilot myself, I just think it looks kind of realistic. If you're more of a pilot and you know more about this than me, then tell me in the comments below if this is good detail or good realism or not. And then in the next shot we can see another little transport vehicle, so one of those dune buggies, and it's driving across the map. And I gotta say that the environment actually looks pretty incredible, also with the reflections in the puddles. We know that it will be an Unreal Engine 5 game, so I hope they can make the most of it graphics wise, and especially when it comes to this realistic and gritty look, because they work so well with this game and it adds so much to its overall tone and atmosphere. And lastly, somewhat of a more special look. This is a first look at an artillery strike in a very interesting perspective, because the camera is following the projectile. I'm not sure if this is only for the presentation or if this is really how you will see it as a player when using the artillery in-game, but it definitely looks impressive. We don't know yet what kind of importance or what kind of role the artillery will play and how the requirements are to use it, but I'm guessing that this is something that you have to earn, so that not everyone can use it. But it's probably, or that's what I could imagine, is that it's similar to Battlefield 5, where we had these reinforcement points and that you had to earn them with your squad in Battlefield 5. And then you could call in an artillery or you could call in a V1 rocket. So I'm thinking that this will probably be similar here in Wardogs as a requirement to call in the artillery. So maybe with your squad or with your team you have to earn a certain amount of points and then you can call in the artillery. And yeah, that was it for today. There was another look at Wardogs, an upcoming all-out war shooter. I will definitely keep an eye on it because I think it's a good addition, or at least it looks like a good addition to the other games we can expect to see this year, like Hell Let Loose Vietnam or Gallipoli. And it also looks pretty promising as another modern setting FPS game. But what do you think about it? Do you look forward to the game, or are you skeptical, or maybe it's not your kind of thing? Tell me in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video right here, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. I'm the Catwoman, and you are awesome.